Here are my note cards. Hi, my name is Andrew Albright, and today I want to talk to you about Chernobyl's nuclear disaster. Imagine waking up one day and being told to leave. You couldn't take anything, you couldn't pack anything, you just needed to take what you were wearing and leave immediately. This is how these people felt in Chernobyl on that day of the explosion. According to N. Alkamoshi, on April 26, 1986, in Ukraine, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant at reactor number 4 had a design flaw which caused the reactor to burn up, which released radioactive materials into the air. The materials spread for 10 days, covering 77,000 square miles, and areas affected included Ukraine and Russia and most of Europe. The radioactive materials contaminated the fauna, the flora, the environment, groundwater, personal property, and personal health. According to Mikhail Grover's, 40 different substances were released, including ZR96, TE132, and iodine-131. The amount of substances that were released were over 40 times the lethal limit. 135,000 people were evacuated immediately after the explosion, and 200,000 more people would be evacuated in the following months. 31 deaths were associated with the direct contact to the explosion. Most of those people were emergency personnel and workers there, but there would be many more eventual deaths. According to Frank Van Hippel, the health effects would be tremendous. Iodine-131 became concentrated in people's thyroid glands, which caused thyroid cancer in children, adults, and even fetuses inside the womb. Among thyroid cancers, there was also leukemia and other cancers that were affected because of the radiation. Cataracts also developed from direct radiation to people's eyes. The more radiation you got to your eyes, the faster cataracts would appear. Cardiovascular disease and lung problems also occurred from inhaling the radiation. Reproductive and hereditary effects also happened. There will be birth effects for years after this disaster. Also, according to Van Hippel, there will be mental and psychological effects. People who were relocated and evacuated had no time to grab anything, so they had nothing, and that probably took a toll on them. Also, the social stigma of being an exposed person would also take a toll, stress them out, anxiety would be at all-time high, and knowing that these people might not ever return home is also a big thing. According to Timothy Moose, the environment also took a hit. Farm animals, their products that they were producing could no longer be eaten. They were contaminated. Birds, fish, wildlife was all exposed, mostly deadly exposures. The groundwater was polluted, so any water that humans were drinking, it couldn't be that water because then they would get even more sick. Also, there was a thing called the red forest, which the radiation literally burnt the trees, so they became red and eventually would die. And today, 29 years later, Chernobyl is still frozen in time. There's still papers on school desks, there's still washing machines. Everything is just left how it was. Everything is so absorbed with the radiation that you can't even touch it there. There was an event that was supposed to happen on May 1st, and it never happened. But there's still carnival rides, Ferris wheels, bumper cars, they're all still there. The fair games are still there, set up how they were supposed to be, and they were just never used. But according to Joshua Clover, though, birds and wildlife have shown decline exposure, which means they're adapting to it. They're growing stronger, they're flourishing more. But there's also abnormal things going on there with the wildlife and the trees and everything. In the red forest, there's still abnormal trees where the pine trees are growing more bush-like and their limbs are getting thicker. And there's also animals such as the catfish that are just huge there because of the radiation. Tourism is also at all-time high right now, according to Josh Clover. There's guided tours through the malls, the churches, excuse me. They're showing everything off now. The radiation levels are at a low enough point where exposure isn't great if you're not there a long time. And there was a quote by Jessica Clover that I liked. People lived in it and then they didn't, but it has not been quite erased. I like that quote because it just shows that these people had a life there and then all of a sudden they didn't, but it's still there, it's still frozen in time. I just want to say thank you, and I hope you liked listening.